They say opposites attract.
Well, how about these opposites? Daddies and sons.
You're listening to Daddy and Son.
A podcast where we explore the dynamics of daddy and son relationships, multi-generational views,
And everything else in between.
Welcome back, ladies and gents,
Welcome back.
daddies and sons, twinks and thwunks. It's been a hot minute, a month. Wait,
Oh, more than that.
more than that.
It was summertime when we were last here.
We took a summer break, a summer hiatus, which, as you know, I think one must do. And I'll tell you why I think it's important for people to take
A break.
a break, even for stuff like this.
Oh, yeah.
It's because there is a lot of work that goes into production, planning, post-production,
Most of which you do.
and, you know, sometimes just a refresh, just so that we can give you the best version of ourselves, especially when we're discussing really heavy topics or even light ones too. It's just sometimes it's good to just take a break. At the end of the day, the essence of daddy and son is two friends, multi-generational, coming together and having discussions
3 times multi.
that we would regularly do anyway.
Yeah, I know.
And just talk about just talk about stuff. Just shoot our shit and talk about stuff. And we want to hear what you think about the things that we talk about.
Yes.
How was your summer vacation?
Was it a summer vacation? We had dinner in late September, mid-September. I don't even remember when it was. It was good almost 2 months ago. Well, I've been away. You've been away.
Yeah.
I'm getting used to the fact now that the cooler weather is coming.
you were
It's
in Upper
baseball
Europe and I was
season.
in the Mediterranean. Yeah.
I was in Ireland and London.
Oh God. How was it out there?
I really like Ireland.
It's a nice place.
Yeah.
A lovely place. Expensive, but it's a lovely place.
Didn't seem any more expensive than any of the other places I've been.
Oh, really?
No.
I find Ireland to be just as expensive as, especially Dublin. I find Dublin to be just as expensive as London, to be honest. Yeah.
True.
But I was in Malta, which is significantly cheaper as far as EU countries go. The weather was hot, though. I was sweating buckets.
There was a book that we read years ago in grade 10, and it was set in Malta, I believe. It was, I wish I could remember the name of it right now. But that was how I first heard of Malta, and it's old and ancient, and
It's a medieval fort
nice
country.
nice little old roads and everything. And
Yeah.
I'd love to go there. That
I went
sounds
to
cool.
some of the spots where they filmed Game of Thrones.
Oh,
Some of the areas for Pentos and King's Landing. So the old city of Valletta, which is their capital, was actually used for the outer shots and some of the main street shots for King's Landing in Game of Thrones. So it was very interesting to see some of the medieval architecture
Wow.
and history and shows. It was amazing. Also, there was the EU air show while we were out there. So I was just in my hotel room trying to escape the heat. Felt the room vibrating. I'm like, oh my God, it's the Russians.
The Russians, or it's an earthquake.
I was like, it's the Russians. But no, it was just the air show.
Wow.
What did you do in Dublin?
Well, we landed in Dublin and we took a train to Athlone, and then we drove down to Cork.
Oh, nice.
Lovely, and saw some old castles en route, and it's just a very peaceful. The countryside in Ireland is just, I don't know. There's just something kind of really neat about it. I can't explain it. And then I went to Dublin for a couple days. You know what? It's a nice big city. Saw the Guinness thing, and I didn't think Dublin was anything special per se. I liked the rest of the country though.
And did you do the tour of the Guinness factory?
Yes, I did.
It's
something else.
It's something else.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a rich part of Dublin's history.
Yep.
I mean, that family built that
Oh,
city.
and the technology they use now to produce a Guinness.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And the Guinness tastes different
I've-
in Ireland than anywhere else.
Somebody else told me that. Maybe.
And you didn't think so?
Well, I haven't been a Guinness drinker, so I really don't know. I liked what I drank over there. I couldn't even finish it.
It is quite heavy.
Well, especially at 12:30 in the afternoon.
I mean, that would never stopped me, but
No. Well, speaking of
you
which,
are conservative.
speaking of which, what are we drinking today?
Oh, I almost forgot the most important segment of the show.
We should
Cheers.
cheers our return here. And another artistic showing here.
So, for today, we are drinking a London Fog Martini. London Fog is a Canadian tea-based latte that is made with oat milk, vanilla syrup, sometimes maple,
Oh,
and Earl Grey tea. It is typically steamed with almost like a regular latte where you have 2 ounces of espresso and then the rest of it is all milk.
Ooh,
But
this
with
is
this
good.
one,
This is
it
good.
is tea-infused vodka, Earl Grey tea-infused vodka with a little bit of oat milk, some Baileys, and of course, shaken in a martini shaker and topped with some dried Earl Grey leaves.
and plenty of vodka.
And yeah, I
Yes.
mean,
Stoli vodka.
one must.
Well, we export oil.
It is a
and
Friday night after all.
we export oil and we export the vodka. And war. But we won't go there.
So, cheers. I'm glad you like. What do you think?
Oh, it's delicious.
Absolutely, isn't it?
Your martinis are 5-star hotel quality,
Ah.
even in presentation.
Oh, that is lovely. That is absolutely
We
lovely.
better limit ourselves to 3 of them before the end of the podcast.
So this week is it's a Norm
Norm's
production.
turn. Oh boy. Well, listen, everybody out there, Norm's productions aren't quite the level of quality that my partner's is, but I've got a good topic today.
Tell us about
I'll tell you.
it.
I'll tell you how I came to this.
Introduce us to it.
Well, I was reading a column, an article, I think in the New York Times a couple of weeks ago. I shared it with you, remember? And the headline was something like, Student goes to Harvard but skips classes. And I thought, oh boy, that one opens up a big, big issue. And it's, well, why is he going to university? Why do young people go to university? What do they want from it? Is it the right thing for them? And you know, a lot of our listeners, we've learned this from our analysis, are in that age range where they would be in university or thinking of going to university. So I thought this might be something worth talking about, kind of exploring, you know, who goes, who benefits, who doesn't. Is it right for you? What are the other options? And why would somebody who spent $80,000 US go to university and skip classes? And is that indicative of what? You know, so that's kind of the topic in a nutshell. I'm not sure what words to put to it. We'll come up with that later, of course. But
Oh, of course. But you know what? It's funny you should mention it because what I ended up doing was I put it to the internet streets. Went into the Discord, went into Reddit, and of course, you know, I asked our gay college kids.
oh, great!
You know, our listeners,
Absolutely.
we've spoken about this before.
Yeah.
1/3 of our listeners are between the ages of 18 to 22. It
That's-
is amazing.
And you've got feedback from them?
And we did get some feedback.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
But before we, you know, discuss what the people in
Yeah.
the internet streets are talking about, you want to give us a synopsis of what the article was saying and your thought process on it?
Well, I don't recall fully the article, but what I did was I looked at, and of course I use, you know, you go on the internet and you ask the question, and the article itself I think was written in a way that was kind of shaming this person, that they weren't taking advantage of their education. But so I asked a young friend of mine who's just starting his first year at York. We were talking last night on the phone. And I thought, why are you in school?
What are they studying at York?
He is in general arts, probably poli-sci, but I think he wants to do psychology. He's a real people person. He's got a lot of social skills for his age. And I thought, okay, what do you, and I described this topic we were going to talk about. And I said, so how would you describe the student population? He said, well, there are two types. One are the keeners, the people you know are there for a purpose. And then there's those that kind of, are there to kind of go through the motions. And I said, well, what would you say is the breakdown? And he said, well, it depends on the program they're in. And I think that's where this article wasn't really specific. And it may have been that, his conclusion, and I think this makes some sense. If you're there in a professional faculty, if you're there to take a business degree or an engineering degree or something that you think is going to lead you to a career in a particular field, I think you're probably more likely to be motivated.
Correct.
And are engaged and are going to put your time in and your effort in, even if you have other extracurricular activities. The sluffer-offers, if you will, probably more likely they're not sure
the
what...
The sluff for who?
The ones who are in there that maybe aren't putting 100% into it, will skip the classes, will kind of go through the motions.
I see.
Do what they have to do to get the check marks and get the pass and get out of school and go do what they want to do. They're maybe not as focused or they're not as sure what they want to do. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, are you asking me on my thoughts as someone who recently came out of school? Or are you
could offer, you could answer
or are you
that
asking me of my thoughts in general?
Both. Because personal experience is very valuable here because you're a recent graduate.
Okay, well, what was your experience in school? Did you find yourself being a sophilus?
I was very engaged. I liked the stuff I was learning.
Okay.
Poli-sci economics. Some of it was strange. Some of it was different.
Nerd. I'm just joking.
Nerd.
Sorry.
I did okay. I wasn't an A+ student. I was a B+ student. But you know what? I was absolutely there. I said, I'm going to make the use of this time. Plus, I was having fun. I was in residence and we were playing hockey and soccer and doing all kinds of other stuff. It was a great experience. Undergrad, particularly. Business school, totally different experience.
In business school, you're talking about when you did your MBA.
My MBA.
Okay.
After I had worked for 2 years, went to a different school. Totally different experience.
Yeah. And that is a different, you know what, going back to school to do my Master's of Science for computer science was a very different experience too.
Okay.
Because I did treat school differently than my undergrad. And I have to admit, I don't think shaming anyone for how they interact, especially when they're doing their undergrad, is quite helpful. And I think it's actually quite negligible. And hear me out.
It's quite negligible.
It's negligible. Hear me out. I can only speak for myself because I used to. What do you call that?
Sloughed off.
A sloughed off.
Yeah.
I used to be one of those people.
Really?
Oh yeah.
You don't seem like the type. You seem like the nerd. I mean, you and your whiteboard in your office there. You're a disciplined nerd as far as I'm concerned.
So let me tell you.
All right.
I actually worked while I was going.
And that is one reason why you might skip a class because you've got other things going on.
And I worked at a club. I worked at a nightclub.
Girl.
So I was a bartender.
Well, I'll tell you, I can see why this is where you got your skills of making martinis.
And we used to have classes, especially because a lot of our professors were also professionals.
Bartending classes?
No. I mean, like my chemistry classes. Because a lot of our professors were working professionals, would either have classes early in the mornings, like 8 a.m. on the dot, or we'd have classes at 6 p.m. and especially the classes at the 6 p.m. mark that would go up until like 10 p.m., especially the labs, especially the ones on a Friday. I used to skip them all the time.
Well, yeah, Friday night lab, that doesn't make sense.
I used to skip them all all the time because I had to be at the club setting up for.
How would you get through school if you skipped your labs in science?
You know what?
The
funniest thing is that I didn't mainly focus on, because as you know, with as anyone who has done any science elective knows, labs are just a small portion, maybe 12% of your overall grade. You have your coursework, your lit review, your papers, all these different things that make up to your overall grade. And I have to admit, even though I didn't have a strong presence in class, the papers I was submitting, the courseworks that I was doing were always top. They were always proper. They were always A+.
Okay. So you had a way of compensating for the missed time, and two, you had a so-called legitimate reason for being I don't blame you for not attending a six. Who has a class on a Friday night in a university?
It's actually quite common. It's really common.
Not at University of Toronto.
And
it wasn't.
One of the things that was a standout moment for me was the fact that I still found time to run for Student Council Guild. Because I was Student Council Vice President.
You were a keener. You definitely weren't a slough offer for any stretch of the imagination.
I loved partying. I was always around campus, like just sashaying around, having a good time.
Sashaying? Sachet.
Sashay. Shantae.
Shantae. Oh, that was a great song in the early 90s. Oh, I remember that. 91. But anyway.
I can't believe you remember these things.
I know that year very well.
But yeah, I literally spent a lot of my time partying, skipping classes, just being the biggest slacker and just doing what I had to do, because I feel as though going to college or university, especially in the UK system where you go to school straight out of high school.
Yeah.
So there's no middle school, or there's no you just
go from high school to university.
You go from high school to university.
Well, you do that in Ontario as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I know for some people, especially in the US.
Well, in Quebec, they have Cégep, which is a little kind of a transition.
It's they have a transition or whatever the case may be. It's not that, especially if you're doing professional studies, let's say if you're doing medicine or law.
Well, you got to get moving fast because that's a long program, right?
You do just go directly from high school to law school, or from high school to med school. It's a longer program in the UK.
Wouldn't you do an undergraduate degree before you do a law degree?
No.
Oh, really? Okay.
No.
Oh, okay.
Right? You just have to take the required A-level courses like pre-law, etc. But you just go straight to uni. But I think the culture in Europe and the culture here are two different cultures. You see, they put a lot of emphasis in making sure that we understand what we want for ourselves, what we want for our future. A lot in professional development at the the secondary level of education.
In high school?
In high school,
okay.
Correct. And
so guidance is, we used to have a guidance course or guidance program. Mm-hmm. That would be emphasized in a European type.
Correct.
Or a UK type, okay.
Correct. And
I have no idea what it is now.
And even then, I think I told you about my good friend, Lois, who opted out of going to college. And
that's another route.
And even at the time, that was tabooed. You don't not go to college. If you didn't, you were seen as someone who would end up being a beggar on the streets.
And these days, people are saying, why do I want to spend all this money and I'm not sure what it's going to get me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And let us be fair. I know my bachelor's degree is in chemistry, and I only worked in chemistry for about 2-3 years max.
Yeah.
I work now in IT, and
Yeah.
I've never, ever really put before I was even able to pay off my student loan, I stopped working in that industry. And I know people who went to school. I have cousins who studied psychology. And one of my cousins, the one who visited me recently, she has a degree in education. She has 2 degrees, one in education, and she went back to school and did a second degree in psychology. And she works in finance at the stock exchange.
That's weird. That's interesting.
There are lots of people who end up going to school and not using their degree for what they're working in today. And it's more than just, where the money resides. I mean, I can only speak for myself. I took a switching career because that's where the money resides. But for a lot of people, it's more than that.
So the question then becomes, what do you learn when you go to university that you don't learn if you don't?
People skills.
You think people skills?
I believe the purpose of university and college, and a lot of people may say, it's useless, it's just a money pit, and all those things are true. Most people who go to university don't end up going to university to use their degree in the area that they're working in, unless you're like a specific skilled professional, such as a lawyer or a doctor. And even then, one of my bestest friends from school, Samantha, shout out to you, Sam.
Shout out.
Listeners to show, went to uni, worked as an ER doctor, 5 years in, changed her mind after spending over 10 years in med school.
What's she doing now?
She now works in public health.
Okay, well, there's a connection there, and it's...
But she worked for over a decade to be a surgeon.
Wow. Okay, that's a very specialized field of medicine.
And decided to just I don't want to do this anymore.
Well,
She wants the public policy.
Well, you know what? And
I have a friend.
But she's got a lot of skills from her training, the discipline of thinking and organizing, and those are the things that you get when you take a university.
You took the words right out of my mouth, because that is exactly where I was going with this.
Okay, I'll hand them back. You can carry on.
You hand my words back to ladies and gentlemen.
Carry on.
I'm literally
I'm handing them out. There we are.
But that's literally, you took the words right out of my mouth. I think the purpose of college is to actually teach you how to learn. It's to teach you how to use transferable skills. It's to teach you how to apply transferable skills. That's the purpose of university.
In theory, yes, I'll buy that.
I don't think it's for you to be able to use exactly what you learn to work in. So let us say you even go and have an arts degree.
I have to put my hand up. I have an arts degree in political science and economics.
Yes. Right?
Which is
in the
close to
humanities, a big part of that is understanding people. A big part of that is literary skills, communication skills.
Learning to just the discipline of showing up, getting through the program, getting a pass. It shows a future employer that, hey, you got something to offer me.
Exactly.
Basically, And I'm fortunate. My university education is very much related to what I have been doing professionally.
Now, you know what? There's another angle to this too, especially when we're talking about kids today. And I think even though I'm a recent graduate, I think kids going to school today may have a lot more to share in this regards. But before we even get to that, we're going to take a quick break, refresh our drinks, and come right back. And listeners, you two at home, if you follow along and make your own cocktail, you pause this and you made yourself a London Fog Martini, pause the show again, and whatever commercial break Apple decides to throw on or iHeartRadio decides to throw on, after that break, we'll be right back to talk about what the kids are saying. And we are back, beautiful people and gentle listeners.
Good evening.
So, we were having a conversation earlier about the purpose of going to school and, people just slacking off at school. And, I was thinking that I thought that we're just being too hard on the kids.
Yeah.
We need to allow kids to be kids.
That's a good point.
But one of the things that you were thinking about was the impact of AI.
Well, you had said just before the break that, and I agree with you, the thing you learn at university, we did learn at university because we are pre-AI university graduates, if you can use that term. And I didn't have any internet. At least you had an internet when you were going to school. You do develop a capacity to ask questions, to reason, to think. There's some great skills you can acquire at university, whether you go to every class or not. I mean, that's really irrelevant. I mean, you're going to get something from your schooling. But my question is now, how is AI impacting the learning experience, the value of university education? Does it hold the same value? Do we need to learn how to use AI in our thinking and reasoning and research?
Well, here's the thing. A lot of people think of AI like it's the boogeyman. But like it's Skynet that's going to rise up with the Terminator and it's going to be our overlords. And I can't speak to that. Maybe it is.
I don't see it that way.
Maybe it is. But I think the future is this. The future is going to be divided into two types of people. Those who can work with AI and those who can't.
Really? That's okay. So tell me about those people. What do they look like?
People are saying that, as an example, the job market is changing. Jobs are being lost to AI. I don't think jobs are being lost to AI per se.
I saw something in The Economist. AI is not impacting jobs. It's impacting tasks.
Correct. That's
Very
exactly
important.
where I was going. I don't necessarily believe that AI is taking jobs.
Okay, I agree
believe
with you.
it's changing the way in which people work.
That's right. It's changing the nature of the job and what goes into doing the job.
And what goes into doing the job.
Right.
So it just means that the skills that were necessary
to do those tasks
have changed.
Yes.
And that's okay. Things evolved. People should evolve too.
Life
and
is
I
about
think
change.
The problem with society is that people don't want to evolve. People aren't intellectually curious anymore. And so rather than being evolutionary, they choose to blame AI. AI took my job, or immigrants took my job. And it's like, if you are an individual that is complaining that some immigrant came to this country and took your job, is that a reflection of immigration, or is that a reflection of you being complacent enough to not upgrade yourself to be competitive enough? Because it's easy to sit there and say, oh, I can pay someone less. But what we don't understand is that while we're sitting here in Canada or the US and we are going back to school, in theme of the topic that we're talking about, we are preventing kids from using AI in school. We're saying, no, don't use AI. Don't use AI to write your essays. Don't use AI to create your answers. Don't use this. No use of AI.
That's almost impossible now, because when you do a search on Google.
Oh, no, but they do that in schools. There are softwares that are designed to see if AI was used to help you do your homework or do your assignment, and you get marked down for it. Now, the issue is, Norm, or this is why or the umbrage that I take with this. You're making, or you're raising a generation of kids to make them technologically inept.
Because they're not being permitted to use AI.
Because they're not allowed to use a technology that is going to determine their job force in the future.
I don't know what to say to that. I mean,
I think about it all the time as myself as a kid growing up. I loved doing modifications on computers. I loved it.
You're a nerd.
I love doing modifications
You're a
in
techie.
games too, particularly like the game levels and stuff like that. I love doing modification of games. My mom used to complain to me, and my mother was a teacher.
Yes.
Alex, put down the games. Alex, get off the computer. Alex, pick up your book. Constantly complaining, Alex, pick up your book.
And what you were doing was really training yourself for a future career.
For a future career that I have now.
Yeah.
That I could have been in ages ago.
Had you left the books alone?
Had I left
Hey,
the
Ma,
books.
sorry, I'm sticking with a computer.
But my mother, who, as you know, was
she was a
PhD
traditional
chemist
Yeah.
and a teacher, was like, you need to pick up your books. So I ended up going to school and becoming a chemist just like my mother,
Yeah.
which was not
Not what
necessarily
you
what
wanted
I
to do.
wanted to
Yeah,
do.
Yeah. Okay. So that is where an example of where someone like a lot of kids, they go into school, they really don't know what they're there for and what they want to do. And they're not in the stream they're going to end up being in when they work.
But here's the flip side of this. You have children in countries like China and Russia, where they are integrating AI into the curriculum, not just the use of AGI, but also the modeling of it. They're teaching kids, high school kids,
How to use.
are building their own LLMs.
Look, China is going to leave us all behind in the dust.
And it is for anyone who's been on.
But that would be in very scientific and kind of professions, wouldn't it? Engineering,
not necessarily.
Medicine. Okay.
Because I believe that AI is applicable amongst multiple different workforces, not just STEAM.
Well, I don't know how you can learn.
And you know what I mean by
Nowadays-
STEAM, right? STEAM.
No.
Science, technology, education,
energy,
art, and mathematics.
yeah.
Yeah.
The new, the non-artsy kind of world.
No, art is included in STEAM as well. Science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics.
The arts is not in my understanding of STEM. I call it STEM: science, technology, engineering, and math. That's what Waterloo looks at it as. So arts is specifically not in STEM.
So that has changed, my dear.
Well, that's news to me.
So
changed. STEM has become STEAM.
STEM has become STEAM.
Well, that then encompasses everything. STEM is more focused on everything but arts. So that's where Waterloo is. That's the University of Waterloo. So here's my question. How can you not use AI doing research these days? You cannot. AI is built into the models that you use to search the internet.
But that's exactly what I'm saying is the problem with our education system. And you hear it every single day.
By saying not use it, you're kind of
saying not use it, right?
You're defeating your whole objective of learning research skills.
So, one of the things that when you brought this topic to my attention, it was ironic because on Wednesday on the news, they were talking about Amazon. I don't know if you saw the news about Amazon. So Amazon, they released, they basically released a statement about their plan to replace over 60,000 jobs within the next year, and then another 120,000 the year after. With robots to do particular manual labor.
Would this be in their warehouses and stuff?
Which include warehousing and delivery.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Picking, packaging, and delivery. So that our deliveries can be more on time, things can be more accurate. They're already training for years. They were already training drones on delivery.
I get good response on Amazon now. I'm not sure why they're doing that, but anyway.
But that also comes with a lot of headaches
and cost.
Yeah, especially with people saying, I'm sure you've heard on the news. I'm sure listeners, you've heard on the news of Amazon drivers complaining that they have quotas to meet. They have to pee in bottles so that they could meet their delivery quotas. All these different things. A robot won't have to pee.
No.
A robot doesn't need a break. A robot doesn't have to go home after 8 hours of working. A robot doesn't have to complain about working overtime. A robot doesn't get injured or sick or has mental health issues. You know, a robot works until it's obsolete and then it's replaced. Just like human beings. But you only, as a human being, you can only make yourself obsolete if you don't evolve. Robots are built and programmed to only operate in a linear direction until their purpose is no longer necessary.
So we've moved into the whole topic of AI and replacing certain types of work or certain tasks.
Well, not necessarily. So I'm gonna bring this back to school and education, because the question that I put to the streets is this. So after seeing the news about Amazon doing away with over 600,000 jobs to be replaced with robots over the next few years, in light of the president, Trump, saying that he wants to bring jobs back to America, particularly manufacturing jobs, are you guys currently in college feeling like there's any value to university education?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And, you know, the reason I postured the question that way, Norm, it's because I believe that we're planning for a future that isn't coming.
Yeah.
Because when we look at those top donors for Trump, including Bezos, you know, when they talk about bringing manufacturing jobs back to the U.S., whether it's through Amazon or through GM
tariffs,
or Ford.
High tariffs, which bring the products production back.
And we're replacing, and now they've announced we're replacing humans with machines. What's the value? And it was surprising to me to hear the responses that people, and when I say people, I'm talking about kids, that they gave me, because I specifically posed this to kids who are currently
I'm interested to hear what they have to say.
And for me personally, just as I said to you earlier, I think it just means the education system needs to change to catch up with the future that we have. We're preparing...
Particularly in North America, probably.
Particularly in Canada and the US. In North America, we're preparing for a future that doesn't exist. We are.
Ooh, that's a good topic. We're preparing for a future that doesn't exist.
You know, one of the top comments said, "I'm glad I'm very old." So someone who actually is in college said, "We've had a very interesting discussion about this in my critical thinking class. Higher education shouldn't necessarily be seen as a money-making quest. Sure, the degree improves the likelihood that you will make more money, but most people don't go into their field of study. I personally agree with this way of thinking, but I know it's only one of many. I plan to take communication classes for self-improvement, and I think this is what education's main benefit is. Self-improvement. I hope others comment, because I want to see what their thoughts are." And boy, they did. Shout out to Flaming Fox 32. He was the one who posted that comment. And, you know, one of the things that, one of the comments that really stood out to me was this one. Someone said, "College checked a box for me when applying for jobs. That's it. I double majored in genetics and psychology, but my career is in IT and accounting. I spent over a decade paying off the cost of checking a box. I do not require a college degree for people. And when I hire, I don't require a college degree either. Wow. I still want them to be intelligent and naturally curious, but I don't give a shit about the fucking checkbox."
Well, that's an interesting one. So he wants people that are bright and curious, but he doesn't seem to think that necessarily having a university degree gets you that.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't think either. I definitely think that university today is behind. I don't. A university, it is and should be a place of curiosity. It should be a place of invention and thinking outside the box, and awarding invention and thinking outside the box.
Boy, that's a whole nother topic in this day and age.
And one of the things I'm realizing with universities today, outside of the political sphere, and when I'm talking about outside the political sphere, I'm talking about like private donors influencing like nationalism, whether it's, Israel or Russia, nationalism influencing what is taught in universities. I'm talking about universities itself sticking to this is the curriculum, this is the way things are done,
Yeah.
and the curriculum itself hasn't been upgraded in over a decade or two. I know when I was doing my master's, they were teaching me penetration testing or hacking, like white hat hacking,
Wow.
on Windows XP. Windows XP has been obsolete since I was a child.
Well, yeah.
Why are you teaching me how to hack on something that nobody uses today?
When were you learning that?
That was like 2018. That's when I graduated from my master's program.
That's crazy. Yeah, they're behind.
So it's an
behind.
issue. Granted, I'm paying lots of money to be here to learn. And when did I get my best knowledge, Norm?
Well,
On the job,
Well-
out of uni.
then maybe something like private career education, which I know something about because one of my clients is in that field. They have to pay attention to what employers want in the marketplace, what types of tasks are being required, how do they tailor their curriculum to give the skills that will enable their students to do those tasks.
Can I even one you up on that? I think it's their job to even predict
Their
what
job.
employers,
Who's their job? Universities?
the private colleges and universities, to predict what employers will want.
Well, they do that by forming partnerships and dialogue with them because they can't guess it. They
Because
got to know it from the employers.
You giving them what they want today is just a short-term solution,
True.
but it's not going to be a long-term net benefit to the student, who is the true customer, not the employers.
And the key instruction at any school is to teach a student how to learn, because learning is a lifelong process, whether
Correct.
it's in the classroom or on the workplace.
Correct. But for
How is it we agree on so many
learning
things?
to be for learning to be seen in that posture, Norm,
Yeah.
one has to have a curious mind. And
Or an ambition to get ahead. Yeah.
And a lot of people, this goes back to my previous saying,
A lot of people don't.
I believe a lot of people are complacent.
Oh, that's a
Because
really good.
if you
Ooh,
aren't complacent, then why are you complaining about AI? Why are you complaining about immigrants taking your job? You should be the one constantly reading, learning, being curious, experimenting, challenging yourself outside of work to make, not even so much to make yourself competitive, but to make yourself knowledgeable.
Well, and you have to be that type of person today to be successful.
You have
You
to.
you could get away with being a little more complacent in the old days, quote unquote. Organizations were around for a lot longer. Jobs didn't change as much. There was much more stability. We don't live in that world anymore.
We do not. You just like I said at the top of the podcast. There are two types of people in this world: the people who can work with AI,
Or the people that can learn and move ahead
and
at
the
the
people
same
who
time.
can't.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Well, and there are people who are going to support the Toronto Blue Jays this weekend, and those who are not.
Before you get into that,
Oh, sorry, I apologize, folks.
What?
It's World Series weekend here in Toronto.
It is.
I shouldn't have interjected
No,
that.
no. Because I had something to say about that.
Go
But
ahead.
another comment that's really stood out to me is someone said, and this is a different perspective.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I agree with
No,
the
let's hear it. I think
I'm not
this
saying I agree with the
input is
person,
great.
but I like to give listeners a different perspective,
Absolutely.
right? So this one is from Pseudolution. He said, I'm not sure what you're asking. Nobody goes to college to land a manufacturing job or anything that can be done by a robot. In fact, they go to college to avoid those kind of work. So in light of what you're saying, it seems a college education will be all the more necessary. Now, he does have a point, but I believe this is the thought process of, and I mean no offense when I say this is the thought process of a boomer. This is the thought process of a boomer. Hear me out. Boomers pushed education on their children, the Gen Xers, right? Because they wanted their children. Boomers are the ones that really built up the manufacturing industry. They built up the manufacturing industry, but they wanted their children to go to school so that their children wouldn't have to, inhale the things that they did, work as hard as they did, they break their back. They wanted to make sure their kids had a better life. And so in turn, that generation built infrastructure to make sure that labor is easier. So people aren't breaking their back. People aren't...
more safety regulations.
More safety regulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Correct. I think now we are going back into somewhat of an industrial age, but it looks different.
Well,
it's not...
when you say that, you mean there's a greater recognition that some of the trade skills are becoming what students should go for.
With a twist.
Okay.
As an example, if you were working as a plumber or HVAC, no, you'll be working as a plumber or HVAC, but now your skill requisite will be a lot more specialized. You may have to build HVAC to cool computer systems, to cool data centers, rather than just homes.
Well,
or the technology may be even more upgraded. So you may not, rather than just going to a trade school, you may need to be...
Well, you're always going to need to learn new skills on the job.
Exactly.
Any professional area is going to have something, the concept of continuing education credits, where they have to upgrade their skills continually.
But I think it's...
And the student that goes into that kind of work is not likely to do a university arts degree.
And that's...
Right?
And that is fair, exactly.
Yeah, and that's fine.
So that's why this person saying that's why university education is even more necessary. I don't necessarily agree with that because...
I don't either.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think...
It depends on what you want to study and what you're good at.
It depends on what you want to study and what you're good at, but it also depends on the future that we are going to have. Right now, I believe a big part of the future... Amazon making robots to replace over 600,000 jobs, right?
I wait to see that.
I don't
believe it's going to happen that way. But
you know why I believe it's going to happen?
They're going to fuck it up.
You know why I believe it's going to happen?
Yeah.
I've said this before on this podcast. AI is the worst today than it will ever be.
So we're in the early days of AI.
If you are blown away what AI can do now.
Wait 2 years or 3 years.
Wait 2 or 3 years from now.
I agree with you. I don't disagree with that.
So I don't believe that they can't achieve it. What I believe is the victors in this frontier will be the girlies who are good at who studied robotics. The girlies who specialized in R&D.
Or the people who say, here's the information that AI can produce for me. Here's how I need to do the job. Let's organize it this way.
Correct.
And what is required for that? Critical thinking and problem solving. How do you come by those skills? You can get them in university.
Honestly,
good arts people can learn to do that.
That is true, but that is at its base. That is true, but that is at its base.
We have covered a lot of topics here this evening.
People are going to, these GPUs don't build themselves, right? These learning, these models, these machine learning models don't build themselves. Who builds them?
We need to.
Who maintains them?
We need to do another session on this.
Who maintains them?
Well, that requires professional technical skill.
Correct, and that is really what the education system.
But that is going to be very specialized education. It's going to be industry focused. It's not going to be at University of Toronto, likely. There's going to be a niche to produce and teach that education, but it's going to be very focused and very targeted on that profession, and they're going to be experts who provide it.
And how do the kids learn these skills then?
The kids, quote unquote, in university, they won't learn it in university. They're going to learn it when they're in those professions and those jobs.
And that's the problem.
No, it's not a problem.
No, it is a problem.
That's how,
Norm, it is the problem because you, as an employer, you're sitting across from me as someone who has had the privilege of employing people in the past. Do you employ people to teach them, or do you employ people to get the job done?
But that knowledge will only will evolve over the course of time, and people will say, wait a minute, we've got some new knowledge here, we've got to figure out how to employ this, and then that develops into a curriculum, a training program. Hey guys, this is happening in the workplace in your field now, here's how we're going to try, here are the best practices to do what you need to be doing. This is like real-time education.
You're saying a lot of words.
No, I think that's.
You're saying a lot of words. I'm not sure I follow.
I'm hearing a lot of people out on the street going to the Blue Jay game too. We have covered a lot of territory tonight, my friend.
You know what?
And since I'm producing this, I get an idea of when we can kind of wrap it up too. Okay.
Okay. Well, you know what? It is your show. Today's your show.
But why did we cover a lot of turf? And this is a really interesting topic.
And I really want to know what listeners, folks on Reddit, folks on Discord, I want to hear your feedback. If you have any words for me or if you have any words for Norm, we want to know.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah,
because I think that Norm just gave us a lot of words, a lot of mush mouth. But
come on. Now, listen, I learned how to words. But listen.
That's what you learned in university? How to mush mouth?
I'm learning it all the time.
How to craft?
I'm practicing it all the time. And that's another thing. You got to practice what you learn.
Yeah, to mush mouth.
Yeah.
Well. I got you there. I'm anxious about the weekend.
Oh, the Blue Jays?
The Blue Jays and both the Leaf and the Raptors
I
playing.
don't care about the Leafs. Oh, of course. We're just.
I know this is going to let us down again.
Well, for everybody that's listening,
is fall after all.
We live in this. Alex lives downtown. You can walk to where the Maple Leafs play. You can walk to where the baseball stadium is, Rogers Center.
You see that like it's a good thing.
Well, it isn't if you've got to drive around here. But anyway, this is the first night of the Game 1 of the World Series, the LA Dodgers and the Blue Jays. I'm a great baseball fan, but there is no way Toronto's going to win this series. LA is a great baseball team.
So
They've got the best pitchers.
Our Prime Minister predicted that they'll win after 6 games.
Our Prime Minister said he would solve the trade dispute with the U.S., and guess where he's at right now? LA Dodgers are going to win this in 5 games.
Shade.
Mark my words. They've got 2 or 3 of the best pitchers in the whole baseball.
I don't know. It's still early days. But it's
fun.
Both the trade agreements and with the game, it just started. Okay, they just qualified.
The trade agreement got scuttled by Mr. Ford with his advertisements. But anyway, that's another issue.
But let's. It's still early days. Things can change on a dime.
Absolutely. Like Mr. Trump changes his mind all the time.
Taco.
Yeah, taco. Tacos. That's what I'm going to have for dinner.
Can't wait.
Wrap it up.
So, should I read us out?
Yeah.
All right, let me read us out. Folks, children, kids, gentle listeners, twinks, Daddy Norm has told me to wrap it up. So, I will do that. Thank you for listening to today's episode. And if you've made it all the way to the end, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Daddy and Son Podcast. Remember, we are now available on iHeartRadio, so go download the free iHeartRadio app and support the show. If you have any questions for the show, send them over to daddyandsonpodcast@gmail.com. That is DADDYANDSON podcast@gmail.com. Until next time, sons, be good to your daddies.
And daddies, be kind to your sons.